everybody, Cinema Sickness here, and it's about time I do one of these videos. I know a lot of other YouTubers and a lot of other people on the internet who do videos have already done one of these videos, but for me, I sort of put it off. I didn't really know if I was going to do one of these videos or not, but now that the big news is out, which it's been out for a little, I guess about a week now or so, so I'm sure some of you or most of you probably already know this, but the big news is that Blockbuster is done. Blockbuster Video, the video rental retailer, is completely finished now, where I know a lot of you are probably thinking, well, hasn't that happened? Didn't that happen a long time ago? No, there were still Blockbusters around, actually. There are few scattered all over. In my area, Blockbuster closed a few years ago. There are no Blockbusters around here anymore, but there are still some around. I know maybe like 45 minutes away there's one. As of like about a year ago, we had a couple that were like on the border of like Pennsylvania and Delaware, so they were only about 45 minutes away as well, but they closed down. So that's the big news. The big news is that Blockbuster Video is finished, which to my recollection, and I could be wrong about this, it's like the one last major video rental retailer to close. There could be other ones maybe on the West Coast that I'm not aware of, but as far as what we had here on the East Coast, that's the last one to go under. There were companies like West Coast Video, Movie Gallery, Hollywood Video, and then Blockbuster. Those were like the main four that were, at least in my area, growing up as a kid. And the first one to go was West Coast. Second one to go was Movie Gallery. Then Hollywood Video closed, and now Blockbuster. And like I said, it's a shame. And I just kind of wanted to, talk a little bit about the, my kind of recollections of, video rental stores and my memories of them and whatnot. And I definitely grew up with video rental stores. When I was a kid, we'd always go to the video rental store, whatever one it was. I think a lot of times it was like a West Coast Video or something like that. I think it was like West Coast and Blockbuster. Those were the two we used to go to as a kid the most. And always, like every weekend, we'd rent a VHS tape. We'd go to the store, look around, see all the nice big boxes all, lined up on display, and we'd pick the one we wanted to watch. And usually, a lot of times, it wasn't a new movie. When growing up as a kid, we didn't go out necessarily and rent the new big blockbuster movie that was out. My brother and I would run over to like the kids section and rent some older titles that had been out for a while that we were just big fans of, like Disney titles and stuff. So I definitely grew up with rental stores, and I can definitely say that they have been missed for me. I definitely, when they all started closing down and Blockbuster closed down, it was definitely a sad thing. It was really, really sad to see them go, since they were something I always grew up with. I never knew a world without a video rental store. They had always been around, at least as far as I could always remember. So yeah, definitely sad to see them go. And I think the best memory, the one that really sticks to me the most as far as video rental stores are concerned, would have to be going to my grandmother's house when I was a kid. We, every so often we'd have like a sleepover at my grandmom's house. And at the time when my brother and I were really young, my aunt, my mother's sister, was still in high school. So we would go over there, and even though we were, at my grandmother's house, my aunt would be the one kind of like watching us and playing with us, and we'd all be having fun with her and whatnot. And we'd always go out and rent a movie. And that's because she actually worked during high school. She actually worked at a West Coast Video. She actually worked at West Coast Video. And we'd be able to go there, rent a video for free, get a little, bags of popcorn for free and whatnot. We'd go back to the house and we'd watch a movie. And I was introduced to a lot of great movies that way. Things like, I remember watching, like Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I remember she was a big fan of that movie, so of course she'd want to rent it and we'd watch it with her. So I was watching Ferris Bueller's Day Off, like, back in the 80s and whatnot, watching that on video, like every time I went there. Willy Wonka, the Chocolate Factory, we rent a lot. Pee-wee's Big Adventure, I remember renting that. So we would just rent really great movies, and I was introduced to just tons and tons of great, like, 80s and earlier movies through my aunt working at a West Coast Video and us being able to rent movies there. That's something we always did. When we slept over at my grandma's house, it was definitely time to rent a movie. So that's probably one of my most fondest memories is, again, going to the rental store with my, aunt. She would drive me and my brother there, and we get to pick out a movie and get little free bags of popcorn and whatnot. And it was just fun, going back to the house, watching the movie, and then going to bed. It was just a great, great time. And that's probably one of my fondest memories. But of course, there are the memories of, going out with my parents to rent them. Remember, we used to go down to the beach as kids. I guess it was, well, I'd always been going to the beach as a kid. My grandmother had a beach house in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, growing up, and we would always go down there. And I remember when we would go down there, when you're a kid, a young kid, there's only so much you could do at the beach. You're not, once you become like a teenager or whatnot, and you're hanging out with your friend who you might have invited with you, or you meet people down there and you hang out on the boardwalk all night and whatnot, and stay up somewhat late. But as a kid, you're kind of under the rules of your parents, and you don't stay out so late. But you come home, you're not really tired to go to bed, you're on vacation, you want to do something, we'd rent a movie. That's another thing I remember doing, going down to the beach, and in the evenings, we'd always rent a movie. And then when my grandmother ended up selling her place, my parents actually bought a place down there around the same time, and we would still rent movies. And even up to when everything kind of closed down, I was still renting movies. I'd go down there with girlfriends and whatnot, and we would go down for a long weekend or a week or something like that, down to the beaches for a fun vacation. And we'd get bored one night and say, hey, let's go rent a movie. We'd go to I believe there was a Blockbuster and a movie gallery down there, and we'd go to one of them and rent a movie. So another fond memory there. And of course, I can't overlook the fond memories of hunting for movies at the rental stores. When I started collecting movies, that was one of the places I'd always go. I loved going to the video rental stores. I would go on my computer and look up to see where they all were, where all the Blockbusters were, where all the Hollywood videos were, where all the movie galleries were. I think West Coast videos were all pretty much gone by that point. I don't think I was doing much hunting on a West Coast video. Actually, you know what? I think I lie. I think there actually used to be a West Coast video in my town, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was actually in this little shopping center up the town for me. The reason I almost forgot about it is because that shut down right around when I first started collecting. I think within a year or two, I started collecting in 2001. I think by 2003, 2004, it was gone. That store no longer existed. So yeah, I guess I did actually used to hunt it at West Coast Video. But I remember doing that. I remember back, when I started collecting, I wasn't really renting anymore because I was buying. But I would go to these stores and buy their used movies. And it was a great place to get newer titles for cheap. I would go to, a Blockbuster Video and buy a movie that came out only a few months ago for $5 or something like that. They'd have like a 4 for $20 deal or a 3 for $20 deal or something like that. And I'd go there and pick up newer movies. And it was great. Where everybody else was going out and buying, spending $20 on one movie that just came out, I'd wait a couple months till it was used at Blockbuster, and I'd end up getting it for dirt cheap, 3 or 4 for the same price as one. I miss those days. I loved doing that. I would drive my wife crazy because we would go out when we first started dating. We would go I'm a big fan of history and stuff. I love going to parks and museums and national parks and stuff like that. I love going to amusement parks, all kinds of fun stuff like that. We would travel a lot. But of course, on the way out there or on the way back, if we happened to pass a video rental store, I of course had to stop and see what they had. So we were constantly stopping at video rental stores. I don't think my wife was too upset when they closed down. I think she was kind of happy when they all started closing down. But for me, I miss it. They were great hunting grounds. I really miss hunting at video rental stores. Definitely one of the many fond memories I have of rental stores would definitely be hunting there. That's something I will always remember as well. I'll certainly remember renting there when I was a kid, but I'll remember hunting there when I was an adult. So definitely something I will miss. And it's really sad to see all the little mom and pop shops go too, because I speak of all these bigger companies like again Blockbuster, Hollywood Video, and stuff like that, but there were certainly mom and pop rental stores too. I remember seeing them all the time in little towns here and there, and I used to hit those up as well. I used to hunt at them a lot. I don't know if I've ever really rented at a mom and pop rental store, because I think in my area, both here in my town where I live in Pennsylvania and also where we had the beach house in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, I think they were always major retail rental stores there. There weren't really any, if there were mom and pop shops, we didn't really go to them. But once I started hunting, I used to hit up mom and pop rental stores all the time. There were a lot that I used to go to, and they were a lot of fun to hit up. I really liked going to them. I loved the feel of those stores. I loved going into them and just, they had that hometown feel. It was really, really cool to go into those stores and see what they had. And they would really be all old school too. Whereas they would constantly update, blockbusters and Hollywood videos and stuff like that. They would update every few years. The kind of look of them would change a little bit. They maybe had like new displays or new pictures up. Something would change a little bit. Whereas the mom and pop shops looked like you just walked into the 1980s. It was like going back in time, walking into those stores. A lot of them, I remember, only a few years ago, there were still some I stopped and that still had VHS tapes for rent. You could still go in these places and rent VHS tapes. VHS was long dead, but now you could still go to these mom and pop shops. You could rent DVDs, or you could also rent VHS tapes. In fact, I think I've been into a few where there were Blu-rays, DVDs, and VHS. That was really cool. I loved seeing that. I remember another fond memory I had would be going to up to Penn State. My wife, when we first started dating, she went to the main campus, Penn State, and I used to go up there and visit her all the time. There was a store, I think it was called like Mike's Videos or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was the name of it. There were like 3 of them in the area, and I used to love going to that rental place because they also had really, really cheap movies, and they would put them out really quick. I mean, a movie would be out, and like a week later, they'd already have copies of it used for you to buy. I don't know why, but it would be great. I used to get fantastic deals from there. There was one that was like a little bit of a drive away. There was one in Bellefonte, and then there was one right off of like the main road and the main drive in at main campus at Penn State. I used to go to all 3 of those stores all the time. Not necessarily to rent stuff, but to, again, do some more hunting. I used to get fantastic deals from those stores. Just like about a year ago, I went back up to Penn State. I went up there with one of my friends. He was DJing up there. I went up with him to visit and hang out because I hadn't been to main campus in a while. And it was really sad to see those stores gone. I drove out. I drove out to Bellefonte. I drove out to the one that was a little bit of ways, and then I walked down to the main campus to see if the one was down there. They were all gone. All 3 stores closed up. So really sad to see those gone. So it is definitely sad from, my childhood memories of renting movies all the way up to my adult memories of only a few years ago, shopping at those stores, hunting at those stores, and looking for movies. It's definitely sad to see them gone. And it's really sad to think that my kids won't ever know about them. I'll say video rental store, and they'll look at me like I'm crazy. Like, what's a video rental store? My kid will probably know about like things like Redbox and stuff like that, maybe. But as far as an actual store you go to rent movies, that's going to be a foreign concept to my kid. They're not going to know anything about them. But I like to think that I'm kind of somewhat sort of keeping the legacy going by having my library. I like to think of this as, kind of like a video rental store. I don't rent my movies out. I rarely ever let a friend borrow a movie. I'm way too OCD about my films to like ever let them actually leave the library. But I like to think that, in a way I kind of have my own little video rental store here where, when I have a kid, they can, I'm going to make them ask me first, but they can take a movie and watch it. I have a huge collection here that they can hunt through, and I can go through too. If I want to watch a movie, I just pick something off a shelf, and there it is. I can watch it. So I like to think that in a way I'm sort of keeping at least the memory of video rental stores alive with my library here. Even though I call it a library, it's fun to think of it almost as a video rental store. The fact that I could just come here and rent whatever movie I want for free. It's great. So, again, fond memories of video rental stores that'll definitely be missed. It's really sad to see that they're all gone. I mean, like I said, a few years ago, all the ones around me closed up. I haven't had a video rental store in this area in a few years, but I know they were still, pumping a little bit here and there. I knew there were still some Blockbusters available all throughout the United States, like sporadically. Not very many of them left, but I know there were still some around. But unfortunately, they're done. They are closing up. They are finished. They're no longer doing their rental stores, and from what I've read, they're no longer doing their. They have like not a Redbox, but like a Netflix type thing where you rent them off the internet and they send you discs. They're discontinuing that too. But what I didn't read about, I read a couple articles. I don't think any of the articles I read said anything about the kiosks. I know a couple of stores around me, grocery chains around me had Blockbuster kiosks, like the Redbox kiosks. I haven't read anything about those. I don't know if those are going to continue or they're going to finish up that too. They're going to end that. So if you guys know about that, if you guys know if the kiosks, like the Redbox type kiosks that Blockbuster had, if they're getting rid of those too, let me know. I don't really remember reading anything about that in the articles I've read on Blockbuster. So if you know anything about that, please clue me in. I'd like to hear if they're getting rid of those too. But again, from what I hear, Blockbuster done. They're no longer going to be a company. Everything's being closed down. So that's why I figured I would do this video, just kind of, you know, relive some memories, talk a little bit about my experiences with video rental stores, and how it is kind of sad to see them go, and you know, the fact that they're only a memory now. It's a dead thing. Video rental stores are gone. I'm sure there are still some mom and pop shops out there that are still trying to push through. In fact, I'd like to hear about that. Leave some comments. If you still have like a little mom and pop rental store in your hometown or something like that, or somewhere in your area, let me know. I'd love to hear about that, and you know, take some pictures and stuff. Send them to me. I would love to see them. It's nice to know that there are probably still some of them out there, but I think for the most part, video rental stores are dead. I don't even want to say they're dying. It's gone the way of the dinosaurs. Video rental stores are dead now. It's something that we're gonna eventually, you know, maybe like a year or two down the line, they'll all be gone. All the mom and pop shops, everything's gonna be gone probably. And like I said, it is pretty sad, since I do have very fond memories of rental stores all the way from being a kid to being an adult. So that's it. Just wanted to kind of give my 2 cents. Just, you know, again, tell you some memories that I had of video rental stores, why they meant so much to me as a kid and as an adult, and why I will definitely miss them. So leave some comments, guys. Let me know some stories. If you have some really cool, you know, stories of video rental stores, you have some memories of them as, you know, as a kid or an adult or whatever, you know, maybe some cool stories, leave a comment. I would like to hear from you. I'd like to hear what you have to say about your experiences with video rental stores. So definitely tell me some stories. I'd love to read them. So that's it, guys. Again, just wanted to share some stories with you and let you know that I will definitely miss video rental stores. And it's very sad to see that basically the one major last retailer, at least here on the East Coast, that was still around, is gone. They're done. Blockbuster is over, and very sad to see them go. So that's it, guys. Like I always say, if you like this video, please give me a like. If you're not already subbed, please do. So that is it. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for my next video. See ya.